Yes, folks, here we go. We've got a new action figure pre-order arrived just today here at MoDXtra Games and Collectibles Towers. As you can see, we've got the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Catwoman here in the Batman Knightfall uniform costume. This is super exciting to me for many reasons. I've said it in some previous videos. Mid-90s Batman is my jam. It's my thing. I was prolifically reading Batman comics through the early to mid-ish 90s. In fact, my whole life was about Batman for a period of time there, following the kind of Tim Burton movie and the animated series cartoon. So very excited to see that we're getting some 90s inspired costume figures from the DC Multiverse range. This was one of two pre-orders from this wave, actually, that I made. Both of them came together. I've got the Hush Batman as well, which we'll take a look at in another video, but here we're going to take a look at Catwoman. And as you can see, straight away, the packaging is the standard McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse packaging with the black, white and blue motif, the logo at the bottom here, the name of the figure, windowed packaging on these so you can see the figure and all the accessories and added value goodies along the side. Then on the back, more of that black, white and blue motif, then some comic book artwork here representing the character. Although, interestingly enough, that is a Catwoman issue cover from later in the 90s. That's not a Knightfall issue. I think that's around it's somewhere in the 50s. That there's a storyline with Huntress, if memory serves. I've not read it for a long time. However, it's very evocative of that period of time and the Catwoman image. I think there might have been better pictures they could have chosen, if I'm being perfectly honest. That image will be replicated on the trading card that's inside here as well, or at least historically, that's how it's gone. Oh yeah, totally, you can see through the box there. It's absolutely the same artwork. Then the sides, these are pretty uniform. You've got the character's name, the kind of comic book era that inspires the figure. And then the other side's the logo, the name, continuation of the window. It's all very exciting. And then all the legal bollocks and malarkey at the bottom. So let's get this open. I've popped the tape here at the bottom edge there. Slide Catwoman out like so. Get rid of the box. So she's in the blister pack there, and then on the backing card you can see we've got the trading card and the foot stand. These come as standard with the McFarlane Toys DC ranges, both the Page Punchers and the DC Multiverse, which this belongs to. So you just crack those open by tearing off the plasticky bits. I'll do those off camera in a sec. Then onto the figure in the blister pack. So she's got a couple of interchangeable hands here. These are sellotaped in. Will they be easy to get out? Yes, they are. Sellotape is not my nemesis today, so a couple of open palm hands there. And then her whip, which seems to be quite an enormous length, actually. Yeah, look at that. Gordon Bennett. And then the figure itself is tie wrapped in. One sec. There we go. Pop the tie wraps with some scissors, and then we'll get Catwoman out like so. There we are. And there we go. There's the Catwoman out of the packaging with all the goodies. So I'm going to go away now and have some good old-fashioned man-child playtime, take some photos, make some displays. Actually, my behind-camera display is DC Multiverse at the minute, so that's good timing. See how I feel about it, and then I'll come back in a couple of days to share some review thoughts with you fine folks. So stick around. It's going to be a few days for me, but you'll be getting the review thoughts in 3, 2, 1. Okay, then here we go. Here is the Catwoman Knightfall from the DC Multiverse range, out of the packet, in hand. It's been a few days now since I recorded the unboxing section of the video that you've just watched, and I've been away and had some hands-on man-child playtime, and I'm about ready to come back and share some review thoughts with you, dear viewers. So, it's my hope that by the end of this video, if you've been looking at this Catwoman and thinking, is this a figure I need in my DC Multiverse display? I'm on the fence, I don't know. Well, hopefully my thoughts by the conclusion of this vid will have guided you and given you some sense as to whether this is the figure for you or not. And I'm going to do that by using a very simple structure. We use them on all MoDXtra Games and Collectibles reviews. I call it the 3 A's. The first A is aesthetics. So the first section of the review, we're going to talk about how she looks, paint applications, the sculpt, the shelf presence, all that good stuff. Then on to the second A, which is articulation. How does she move? How poseable is she? Is she doing what we would like the figure to be able to do when we are setting up displays, organising dioramas, taking photos of our figures? And then finally, the third A is accessories and added value. What extra goodies have we got with the Catwoman figure to enhance our action figure experience. And with all that said and done, that should be plenty enough content for you to make your mind up. So let's not dilly-dally around, let's crack on with it. So the first thing that strikes you about this figure is the distinctive 90s Catwoman costume look. The purple outfit with the purple mask, the long flowing hair, the black leather gloves, the big thigh-high black leather boots. Very distinctive look from the 90s. Colours-wise, it's okay. It's pretty decent. The purple's fairly close. Yeah, it's not too bad. I went and had to dig through the long box and pulled out this classic Catwoman issue number 1 from August 1993. When she's bad, she's very, very bad. And you can see, yeah, it's about there in terms of the colours. We've got, the purple in the actual comic book cover has got light effects and shading and all that kind of good stuff, but it's there or thereabouts. Maybe it could have been a little bit darker on the figure, but it's good enough for my mind's eye. It's got the bluish kind of wash thing going on in the hair, and the black leather boots and the black leather gloves are, present and correct. So looking good on that front. It's a little bit inconsistent. You can see the purples are different on the core body to the molded bits over the top, so the chest area, and this section, which for lack of a better phrase we'll call the McFarlane Toys nappy area, is one shade of purple, whereas the abdomen, the mask, the top of the arms, the top of the thighs is a different shade of purple. But that's okay. I'm a little bit more forgiving when it comes to McFarlane Toys on this front because the price point is so good. What they've pulled off for the price point is exceptional, and the gloves and the boots have got a really great leather looking effect. Super shiny, really nice. So that's really tremendous. Excellent sculpt work on the figure as well. The face sculpt is really awesome. The eyes, the eyebrows, the lips, the facial features, really great. The body shape is all right. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, but we can see the folds and creases across the skin-tight lycra uniform, which give it some texture and a nice touch of reality, which I really appreciate. I've already mentioned the shiny leather effect in the gloves, and of course the hair, which I alluded to earlier. The hair is a really lovely sculpt, really great. Got the wash in there, the little blue flecks to make it comic book accurate from that time. Yeah, no complaints here in terms of the aesthetic qualities in that respect. Do wish that the face had a little bit more of something going on in terms of an expression. This is a little bit Marvel Legends-y, a bit bland and expressionless. So even though it's a great sculpt and the facial features and the eyes and all that good stuff's going on, the ears on the mask, all spot on, it's just a bit expressionless. And when you compare it to the comic book cover that I was just looking at, where there's a bit of a kind of growl thing going on, you kind of see where there was more opportunity to give her some more personality and narrative with a facial expression. Circling back round to the body shape then, and something to my eye is a little bit off aesthetically when it comes to the body shape. There's some funny choices here, and I can't help but thinking that Toddy's not really pinned down the female figure sculpt, and some of the issues that you have with male figures is even more prominent when you're looking at a female figure, which comes as no surprise, I suppose, when you take into account his comments about female action figures that he's made in the past. But the nappy area is really pronounced, looks really odd. The waist cut here is really high. It's of strange shape. Some of the poses here, this little front bit pokes out and there's a strange gap. It looks odd enough on any figure, but when you're looking at a character that's in an entire skin-tight lycra suit and there's nothing like a belt to sort of disguise it, it really stands out and looks odd and peculiar. So, I'm not into that at all. There's also some very strange contours in the legs, just here above the knee and across the thighs. They're hard to point out. The lighting's making it difficult, but I don't know if you can see this weird indentation, these weird contours here that look very odd. I think this is because, in classic Todd McFarlane way, we've got an action figure, he says in speech marks, but actually it's a display statue with action figure elements to it rather than an action figure with a more statuesque look. And so she's been designed to stand in certain poses, but the indentations look so odd straight out the packet that one of my initial reactions was to check whether the legs were on the right way round, which they are. I've checked, they are indeed on the right way round. I've compared it to the official promo photos on the McFarlane website, but at certain angles, in certain lights, some of these strange contours look really weird. That said, though, I think she's a decent looking figure. I'll reiterate, for the price point, you know, I'm being a little bit more forgiving. If you can look past the colour inconsistencies and you're all right with the weird McFarlane Toys nappy thing and the particular impact it's having on a very skin-tight lycra female form, rather than whatever's going on here, if you can sort of look past that and the fact that the face is a little bit expressionless, then yeah, it's a decent-looking figure. It's solid. It's solid, and she does look good with my Bane and with my Azrael Batman and even with my standard Batmans from McFarlane Toys. They make quite a striking shelf presence altogether. So I'm gonna go a sort of tentative thumbs up on the aesthetic. I'm happy, I think. I'm happy. Would I have liked a bit more? Yes. I always want more. We know that if you're regular around these parts. But overall, it's decent. It's decent. It's not the best McFarlane I've seen, but it's certainly not the worst either. Okay, second day now then. Time to talk articulation. Historically, an area where the McFarlane figures fall short for me, and I'm going to call it out up top. Spoiler alert. It's the same again with Catwoman. I used this phrase earlier in this video. I've used it before in other McFarlane reviews. These are statue-style display figures with action figure elements on them. They are very much sculpted and designed to be posed in the way that Todd McFarlane wants you to pose them. He started doing statues now. That's probably the best fit for him, really, because the articulation limits the possibilities with these figures. And Catwoman, in particular, is the type of character where you really want to be able to get some kind of acrobatic stuff going on, and you just can't. The limits of the articulation are too much. And if you're looking to do some exciting kind of photography stuff with her, this isn't the figure for you. Starting with the head, and the articulation here is super limited. Obviously, the hair and the way it drapes down over her shoulders and across her back is going to be a part of the story here, but mine is really springy and tight with very limited articulation. So even if I did kind of want to force the hair over the shoulders or try and do a little bit more with it, the turn is very limited. I don't know if that's something to do with mine. The downs, all right. The up is non-existent. Yeah, it's a bit limited in terms of the head. Moving further down into the shoulders, you can see we've got the butterfly joints here. Mine are very stiff and gummy, even after putting a bit of heat on them, but they're there nonetheless. Then we've got a hinge on the armpits, bringing us the T-shape. No swivel here at the bicep and tricep. A decent enough pinned double joint on the elbow there, bringing you that range of motion. And then that McFarlane style ball hingy thing that he puts on the wrists there. This is okay. I thought they'd sort of move past making them quite so visible. I've had a couple of figures where they're a bit more blended into the figure's design, but that's not the case here. But it gives a decent range of motion up and down and swiveling round and what have you, so that's okay. I'm not a big fan of this joint because when you do bend it, it gives this strange little sort of jutting out hinge thing here, which I think looks really weird and I'm not particularly pleased with. Certainly stands out more on the open palm hands that I'll talk about in the accessories section. Into the main body, we've got 2 points of articulation there. There's this swivel joint here just under the breasts on the chest, and then there's a swivel joint here in the waist, although not the waist. It's more like an abdomen because the waist should be down here, but I've already commented on that, but you can see lots of range of motion there. Limited in terms of the legs. We've got pretty decent out if you want to do some ballet splits. Forwards, okay. Back is more or less non-existent. It's not a drop-down joint or anything, so very little range of motion in terms of the sort of swivelly action at the top there. No thigh cut, which she desperately needs. If ever there was a McFarlane figure that there should have been a thigh cut on, it's this one. Solid double knee. And the ball hingy thing, ankle joint, which has got forward and back and a bit of rock in it and swivel. Decent enough. And like all McFarlane figures, Catwoman can bend her toes. Articulation is standard for McFarlane Toys. It's all right, I suppose. I'm spoilt, really, by the articulation that I love so much in G.I. Joe Classified series on the Hasbro side of things. And as I said before, with a character like Catwoman, who is known for her agility and her acrobatic and gymnastic talent, this range of articulation really lets the character down. But it's not inconsistent with the rest of the line. You know, the range of motion is more or less the same. The only thing that appears on other McFarlane figures that hasn't appeared on Catwoman, and I don't know if this is typical of the female figures, is there's no swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. So if you are okay with good display pieces where you can find a bit of a pose and settle into that groove, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the figure's life, then that's cool. That's fine. I'm comfortable with that. That's what I'm going for with my McFarlane shelf. I don't play with my McFarlane figures as much as I would say I play with my Hasbro figures. Then that's fine. But if you were looking to do a really exciting diorama with her swinging through the rooftops or something, or breaking in through a window, or you had some photos in mind where she's going to be stealing some jewelry from a safe or something, you might find it a bit of a struggle because she's limited. She's very, very limited on that front. So it's going to be a middly to down, because I knew what I was getting into. I suppose that's the thing. You know what you're getting into in McFarlane, so I can't give it a full thumbs down. It is what it is. And again, the price, it's like £5 lower than a Hasbro figure, so maybe that's the trade-off. I don't know. On to accessories and added value now. The third A, I'm going to start with the trading card. These come with every McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse figure and with the page punchers. Got the image on the card there that matches up with the artwork that was on the back of the box. Then on the other side, we've got a bit of a bio about the character and whatnot. You can, I don't know, read it super quick or pause your vid or something. Unless your telly's like mine. Mine's really annoying. When you pause the vid, all the kind of YouTube-y UI interfacey stuff comes up on the screen. You can't see what you pause to read. That might just be mine. I don't know. But if you want to, there it is. But that's just going to get added to the binder with all the others that I've put away after I've got a figure and never look at again. Then we have two open palm hands with the claws out there, very on point and appropriate for the figure. It's got this weird, spindly, super long finger thing that action figure manufacturers seem to like to do with female hands, but it is what it is. Got one for the left, one for the right. These pop off nice and easy, like so. And then you pop the replacement one on there. You want to really give it a good push in until you hear the click, though. Otherwise, you get this strange-looking gap there, which makes it look proper uncanny valley stuff, you know what I mean? So yeah, make sure you push all the way in for the click. But with the open palm hands, I mentioned before, that hinge bit looks really odd there, doesn't it? Like, really super weird. So you probably want to make sure you keep it kind of flat like so. Then you get the standard DC Multiverse foot stand. These come with, you know, all DC Multiverse figures as standard. You can see on this one, though, the heels on the boots have left a weird little scratch mark. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought the stilettos would be that sharp? Can you see that? And then finally, we have Catwoman's weapon of choice, her really super long whip. It's got nice texture to it, nice detail. You can see the braided whip. It's got the cattails at the end there. Nice grippy bit and a wrist wrap thing. It's all lovely. It's super long. I mean, like proper long. I measured it. It's like 20 inches long. That's insane when you pull it out. It's got a bit of room to move in it to, you know, you want to swirl it up and stuff if you want to stretch it out. There's a few kinks in there. It's okay. It's all right. It's definitely got a bit, you know, proper rubbery vibe to it. I might have preferred it to be a bit shorter, I think, to help with... It takes up a lot of real estate sometimes, you know. Fits into either of her grippy hands well enough. I've got it on the right hand here, and as you can see, yeah, it's all fine and dandy-o there. So yeah, the accessory selection, is it added value? Yeah, it's all right. I mean, the open palmed hand with the claws showing, very on point. The whip is definitely a distinctive feature of the character, not just from this era, but, you know, Catwoman in general is known for her whip. So that's all good. The trading card, I could take or leave that. The foot stand, I mean, they come as standard, but I'm always very grateful for those. I think that's a nice little touch from McFarlane Toys there. So yeah, it's all right. I think if anything's missing, a little bit of jewelry, you know, like a bracelet or a diamond necklace or something that she could be holding on to give it a bit more narrative, a bit more story to tell with your figure on display, something that she's just lifted, you know, from some poor unsuspecting rich lady at a ball, or, you know, she's cat burgled from a penthouse apartment or something. But that's a smaller mission, and I've got some stuff I can use in that space anyway, but it might have been a nice addition. But overall, yeah, it's okay. It's a good selection. The whip's a bit unwieldy, a bit long, but it's fine, and it's definitely a big part of the character's visual identity and part of the stories you want to tell with your character figure there, so that's all fine. Yeah, I'm going to go thumbs up. I'm going to go thumbs up on the accessory selection, I think. Okay, folks, figure comparison time now. Here's Catwoman with the Batman Hush from the same wave. You can see the kind of size and shape difference of the figure. I think that's his height difference to her there, certainly, and the physique is obviously distinctly different. Keep your eye out on the channel. Review for this one coming soon. Here she is with Bane, obviously a massive part of the Knightfall story. I've gone as far back as I can with the zoom, but he's still towering too large for my little lightbox stage area. But there they are. Here she is with the Azrael Batman. He towers over her. I've just got him in a little ready to strike pose there, but they look okay. I've got to say, actually, just in hindsight, the sort of brighter colour scheme on the Azrael figure, which I mentioned in the review of that, really stands out when you've got him next to the more comic accurate, more subdued purple and black of the Catwoman. And after I've just had the Hush Batman in hand as well, which is interesting. But they're certainly going to be spending a lot of time together on the shelf, because that's what I'm doing, making a little Knightfall display. They're from the Knightfall era. Final thoughts time then, folks. Here's Catwoman going around on the turntable in a bit of a sort of a pose I kind of settled on. Looking at it on camera now, from the angle that I'm shooting her from, it looks a bit odd, but trust me, it doesn't look so quite as unusual on the shelf next to my Azrael, Batman and Bane. But it does demonstrate, I suppose, what I was saying about the articulation before. That's what really always lets McFarlane down for me. And that super stands out with a character like Catwoman, who is known for being a gymnast and an acrobat and an agile cat burglary thief, and you just can't get her into the range of poses that you would want to tell that story, to tell that narrative about the figure. But she is a solid display piece, and if you go in knowing that that's the case, which I did, then there's not much to criticise, really. I just think that, McFarlane Toys are letting themselves down with this DC Multiverse line as far as articulation is concerned, especially when you've got characters of this nature. What I really want is a kind of Hasbro line of articulation with the McFarlane attention to detail with sculpting and texture and, leather shininess and washes on hairs and, all that good stuff. But that'll obviously never, ever happen. So there we go. So if you're looking to be taking some really ambitious kind of photographs with her and get a really exciting diorama display going, I'm not so sure this is the figure for you. But if you want something that's just got a bit of shelf presence, fits in well with the Batman thing you've got going on like I'm looking for, then fill your boots, go for Catwoman, I reckon. Yeah, see, if I stop her from spinning around and kind of shoot from a little bit more of a flat angle, doesn't quite look as odd. It does still look a bit odd, doesn't it? Need to work on the posing with that one. Well, anyway, folks, all that remains for me to say is thank you so very much for watching my review. If you are one of my new subscribers, it's gone crazy the last couple of weeks. An enormous welcome, and I thank you so very much for subscribing to the channel. You can't understand how grateful and blessed I feel to have you here as part of my viewing community. I never thought in a million years I'd break 600. So just my sincerest thanks to those who have subscribed and joined this little viewing community. I'm so happy to have you with me here. If you haven't though, make sure you do subscribe. If you found the review useful, then take the time to hit the thumbs up, like, to let me know I'm going in the right direction and these reviews are useful. Otherwise, I've been Chris, this is MoDXtra Games and Collectibles, and I hope that you have a tremendous day. See you later, folks.